Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I wash my wigs. First, I start off by brushing it out. You can tell that this one really needed a good wash. There's some knots in it, so I'm going to start at the bottom with my wide tooth comb and brush through it, starting at the bottom and working my way to the top. This way you get all the knots out before you get it wet, which can cause the knots to be even harder to get out later. So I'm just brushing it through and making sure it's nice and tangle free before I start. I'm going to go ahead and speed up this process because it seems a little boring to watch, but I wanted to make sure I showed you um, how I do it from start to finish. So you'll notice I'm actually using my bathtub because the sinks and faucets in my bathroom are a little too low and I can't get the wig and my hands under it. So I'll be using my bathtub, but obviously use whatever you have accessible. I like to make sure I get the water lukewarm, not cold, not hot. And I use Redkins All Soft shampoo and conditioner. That's what it looks like. I always refer to it as the one in the gold bottle because I can never remember. I'm going ahead and getting the whole unit wet. You want to make sure it's completely wet before you start. I'm also putting my thumb over the part of my wig. I like where my part is at, so I'm showing you that I'm using my thumb to cover it, and it's so important to keep the hair all going in one direction, so in that downward natural direction that it is, like, sewn to the cap and downward. So I keep my thumb over the part and let the water run downward. I'm checking to make sure that that is the shampoo. I'm just getting a little bit, really not that much, and I'm gonna lather it between my hands. It's really important that you keep the shampoo close to the cap, so it's okay that it gets, it's on my hand and it's getting in the cap, and I'm just working it through with my fingers, almost combing it, and I'm doing a really good job trying to stay away from the ends of the hair because it can dry out the ends. But I am getting the cap. That's where like the majority of the dirt is, right? Because it's sitting next to my head. And I'm just gonna work it through. I'm gonna also make sure I get the lace front because that's where a lot of my makeup residue and stuff is. So I'm showing you that I'm being really gentle and just using my thumbs to massage a little bit of shampoo into the lace and into the ear tabs, just so that I make sure that I get it nice and clean. Once I'm done with that, I'm putting my finger back over the part and I'm going to rinse it out, and I'm going to rinse it until the water is clear. If you have a longer hair wig, that is going to take you a longer time, but thankfully this hairpiece is only 12 inches. I believe that's like 14 or 15 or something overall, and so it doesn't take that long for it to run clear. I'm going to kind of get off the excess water that's in it, so it's not too heavy. I don't want it to put a lot of pressure, like the ends of it to put a lot of pressure on the cap. So I'm just kind of squeezing it out. I'm not wringing it between my hands like a towel. I'm just squeezing it out. Again, you want all of the hair to go in one direction, and when you wring it like you would maybe a towel, you are exposed to breakage and breaking the hair. So I'm also going to make sure that I rinse the cap really well. I don't want any excess shampoo in the cap. So there I am, just checking it out, making sure that everything's still intact. Okay, and when I'm done with that, I am going to get my conditioner, again, the Redkins All Soft Conditioner, and you'll see that I'm actually going to put a good, generous amount in my hand. I like conditioner. I like the way it makes my hair feel. So I'm going to put a good amount in my hand, but you'll notice that I'm only putting it in one hand. I'm not putting it in both because I really want the conditioner not to go anywhere near the cap. So I'm starting at the bottoms and just working my way up, not going anywhere near the cap. My other hand has no conditioner on it because the conditioner, what it does is it makes the hair soft and it can loosen the knots in your cap. So it's really important that you don't put it near your cap, or else that's how you're going to lose hair, which is something I didn't know early on in my wig wearing experience, and I lost lots and lots of hair. So this is like a really important step that I would definitely nail into your brain now. Don't put your conditioner near your cap. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed it up. I'm working my fingers through like a comb and staying away from the cap, making sure I'm getting the ends, but also trying to get the top without getting the cap. Again, going in one direction, like we have been the whole time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to place, I've turned the water off. I'm going to place the wig just in my tub to rest for 5 minutes. So what that's going to do is it's going to let the conditioner penetrate the hair and make it all silky soft, get my water to lukewarm again, and I'm going to rinse out the same way that we rinsed out the shampoo. So I'm putting my finger over the part of the cap where I like my part is so it doesn't get messed up, and I'm rinsing all in one direction, and I'm getting off some of that excess water. I don't want it to be too heavy on the cap. I'm making sure I get the front, the back, all parts of it. So that's what I'm doing here. You'll notice that I'm getting the ends because that's where a majority of it was, and I don't want to put a lot of pressure, so I'm making sure all the ends are running clean. And then I'll go back and do one more kind of final rinse over the whole thing. Now, I've seen people do this where they let their wigs soak in water in their sink with water and the conditioner, and you totally can, but again, I'm really cautious about not getting any conditioner on the cap because it can loosen the knots. So I don't personally do that, but there's so many different ways, and I think other wig manufacturers can recommend different things. I've also washed my wigs in the shower before, so whatever works for you and whatever makes your life easy, I would recommend doing. This process really doesn't take me that long, maybe 15 minutes total, so it's not like a huge time commitment. All right, so I'm just rinsing out the tub from the conditioner that was sitting there. But what I'm going to do next is get off some of that excess water, all going in one direction, not wringing, just kind of like helping the water come out with my hand. And then I'm going to take my wide tooth comb and I am going to comb it out. So here we are. I'm starting at the bottom of the unit with my comb, and it's going through super easy. It's kind of hard to like hold it up and show you like that because I usually like place it like my hand on the other side, but that's okay. So I'm coming out, starting at the bottom, it's getting any little knots out, but it's running through actually really easy, and it's okay if there's a few knots. I mean, that's just gonna happen. It is human hair. So starting at the bottom, working my way upwards, getting out any knots that there might be in the wig. And I'm gonna go ahead and probably speed up this also because it might be boring to watch, but I just wanted to keep it in just in case you wanted to see how I do it. So starting at the bottom, going to the top. And it may look like your wig lost a lot of hair, like when it's wet, like the unit, you can probably see through to the cap, and that's totally okay. Like you did not lose that much hair. That's just how it's gonna look. And once it's dried and you give it a nice comb through, you'll see that. So you'll see that your hair kind of is voluminous again and goes back to the way it was. So again, I'm putting my finger on the part and brushing all in one direction, getting out any of those knots, and you see how easily that's coming out. So go ahead, speed that up, and then I'll show you what I do to let it dry. I like to let my wigs air dry. I just think the less heat and less process you have on them, the better. They're going to last longer, and I'm all about having my unit last as long as possible. So I usually let mine air dry. I'm making sure that there's no tangles before I go ahead and do that. And I'll show you, but what I do is I lay out a towel and I like to let the cap dry first before I put it on any blockhead or anything like that. I'm showing you now that I'm making sure the part is exactly where I want it. This is a good time to do that while it's wet. You can take your brush or your comb and comb it to where you want it. My thumb's only so big, so it made sure it got the top or the front part, but maybe the back got a little messed up, but that's okay. It's easy to fix. Just follow that line. Okay, perfect. So here we go. I'm almost done combing. Perfect. And I'm laying it on this towel and I'm letting it air dry because I want the cap to be completely dry before I put on a blockhead, because a blockhead, while it's wet, can stretch it out. And I have a really small head, so I want to do that before I put it on something like that, which is